Hello, my friends. Hello, my friends. Hello, my friends. Hello, my friends. This is Stephanie O'Connell. This is Stephanie. This is Stephanie O'Connell. This is Stephanie O'Connell. And this is Stephanie O'Connell, founder of Positive Change Acceleration. Okay, welcome, everyone to this masterclass on Take Back Your Power. I am so excited that you have decided to join me for I'm calling it a power hour because it will be an hour, I promise. And this is some content that I've been working on for the last 2 to 3 years, and part of my journey getting various certifications as a kind of a love and authenticity life coach, as well as some energy healing, and then drawing on experience from my years in corporate life. And I just feel passionate about this topic, and especially for women. And so I'm so glad you're here. And I also want to just kind of congratulate you for taking an hour for yourself. It is so easy for us to say, not important. I'm going to give my time to something else, or I've got to do X, Y, and Z. So congratulations. You made a power hour for yourself. And so I'm so happy you decided to spend it here. All right, so let's talk about what we will cover. Oop, and I went right by it. So in this power hour, I'm just going to give a little bit of an introduction of myself and my journey. We're going to clarify and actually confirm your superpowers. I have a list of 10 superpowers, and you're going to be able to have a look at those and see which ones resonate for you. So we all have superpowers, and I believe you probably all have more than one. It usually is the case. So we're going to do that first. And then we're going to talk about when our power starts to leak away on us, kind of seeping out. And what causes those power leaks? What causes us to start to dilute our own personal power? And then how do we take it back? So what are those strategies if we've noticed we've given our power away, or it's been slowly leaking? How do we pull it back? And then just some daily practices, very action-oriented, things you can start doing in your day-to-day. And then I will only spend 5 minutes, but I do have a special offer for all of you. I do have 2 new courses out that I want to make you aware of, and that will be at the very, very end, and that's the Learn More. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so just a little bit about me. These are very important people in my life, my VIPs. So the upper left are my twins, Aiden and Ember. They are 16 and a half and driving now, which is kind of interesting. To the right is my husband, Darren Thornton. We've been married 2 years. We married in October 2020. So this is my second marriage. The kids are with my first marriage, and we co-parent. I co-parent with their dad. It's very amicable. And this is my husband, Darren. And then down below is my 84-year-old mom, Anita, who moved in to live with me actually a year ago, November 1st. So she is now in the household, and she loves to sing. So she joined a church choir and kind of drew me into it as well, because I haven't sung in a really long time. And so that was us singing at church. To the left of that picture is Zelda. Zelda is mom's cockapoo who came with her. She's 16 years old. She's a beautiful senior citizen nowadays. And then next to Zelda is my golden doodle, Penny, who's 8 years old. So these are kind of the people in my life that when I'm not, facilitating something like this, I'm usually involved in something around these very important people. Just for a little bit of background, I have a background in communications from Northwestern and my master's in organization development from Pepperdine. And then this is just the collection of places that I've worked. So I was in corporate life for over 30 years. And then 2 years ago, left Harley-Davidson and started this company called Positive Change Acceleration, which is coaching and healing. So that's just a little bit about me and what um, my background kind of lends itself to this topic as well. So, what is power? Let's get your chat going. How would you finish this sentence? Power is ... Type in what comes to your mind to fill in power is ... What is it to you? Okay, freedom. Ability to make decisions. Scary, invigorating, selfish. Interesting. Nice mix there. Strength, making your own decisions, authentic. Great. So I think the definition that I want to offer is pretty aligned with what you're saying here. I will say, though, that the last time I did this, some different words came up that can be what I call a little bit of the dark side of power. So like domineering and controlling and intimidating and things like that. And so power misused can go in that direction, but power used for good is authentic, is freedom, is the ability to make your own decisions. And so this is the definition that I would offer to all of you. It's your ability to act. So a decision is an example. Freedom is an example. So when you have the ability to act, you have personal power. Your ability to make choices from your own will, not someone else's will, your own will, is when you have personal power. And then the ability to activate those choices if you so desire. So those are the three pieces that I would say make up power. And so what happens is sometimes we want to make a choice, but we don't have the ability to act. Or we're making a choice, but it's not really our will. We're doing it for someone else. And these are examples we'll talk about in a moment of how we sometimes leak our power because it's not really the decision we would make. We're doing it for someone else. But we want to hold on to our personal power as much as we can. So let's talk about superpowers. Superpowers. So interestingly, I was doing some homework around what's going on in this day and age in recruiting and companies and kind of the latest piece. And actually what I learned is that companies are starting to ask some very interesting questions of candidates to get a sense of, one, their creativity and how they think on their feet. And one of them was this very question: what are your superpowers? So good news is, if you have an interview this week, you'll know the answer to that question by doing this exercise. So here they are. There's 10 superpowers. And we're just going to go quickly through them. But what I want you to do is write down the ones that you believe, that's me. That's so natural to me. And then we'll write in our numbers in the chat. So let's start with number 1, flying. Flying is a superpower. You are willing to take risks and enjoy seeing things from a new perspective. If you think that sounds like you, jot down number 1 wherever you are. Have the place to write. All right, number 2, the power to influence your environment. You have strong persuasive skills and enjoy leading others. So that's superpower number 2. Superpower number 3, strength, resilience, or endurance. You enjoy challenges and use them as an opportunity to persevere. I know some of you, and I've seen this power in you. 4, reading minds or experiencing the feelings of others. So you value emotional intelligence and understand its importance in the workplace or in a group or family that you are a part of. Number 5, X-ray vision. You know how to analyze situations before making decisions and value attention to detail. 6, shape shifting. You enjoy handling a variety of tasks and can multitask and change between roles. Kind of the wearing different hats. Speed. You have excellent time management skills, value efficiency, and look for ways to improve work processes. So write down 7 if that's you. 8, agility or flexibility. You are adaptable and easily embrace new responsibilities or challenges. That's your agility superpower. 9, ability to teleport. You value efficiency, have strong oh, those are the same. Oh, it's very similar. That's right. Teleport. You value efficiency and have strong time management skills and can prioritize. So that's a little bit different than the speed one, although they have some commonalities. And then time traveling. Number 10, you understand the importance of reviewing past results to make future decisions. And then maybe one if you wanted to create your own superpower. So type in your numbers in the chat, just to get a sense of the superpowers in the Zoom room that we have here tonight. Okay, Fiona. 7, great. Valerie. We would make a good, so far we have a lot of variety. We would make a really good team because we would have most of these covered. Don't have any 5s. X-ray vision does not seem to be in our group. That's okay. Okay. There you go. Donna's got it. Donna's got 5. She's filling us in. So, okay. So those are your superpowers. When you bring these to a situation, you are standing in your power. You are offering your superpowers to make things better, to improve things. So always want to start with you actually do have superpowers. Now, let's talk about what can happen when we start to leak our power. And remember, our definition of power is the ability to act, make decisions for our own free will, and activate those if we so choose. Okay? So what can happen with our superpowers? We can start to leak our power. So here's what happens. Events happen in our lives and our emotions get engaged pretty quickly. It's almost like the first thing, I would say one of the first things is in our bodies, we'll start to feel something related to that event. Then our emotions get engaged, and then our thoughts around those emotions get stored, and our vibration, our energetic vibration fluctuates. So for an example, when I think I was 4 years old, I was riding on a tricycle on the family street, somehow tipped over and broke a tooth. Had to be rushed to the dentist to get it pulled because it was like not all the way out. And I'm 4, blood everywhere. I'm freaking out. And it wasn't a comfortable situation. So fall on the tricycle, event, emotion, scared, a little freaked, thought stored, this is bad, and who is this person who's trying to pull something out of my mouth? So thought, dentists are not good people. Sorry if anybody was a dentist in their prior life, but dentists are scary, and my energy is all over them. So that gets stored, that memory, all those feelings, and they get stored in the back of the brain. So this memory gets stored in the back of my brain. Okay. And then it almost becomes like a program. And then the programs will stay until they are dissolved or replaced. So I'm better, but I still have unease going to the dentist, any dentist. And you go, well, what the heck? Why? Because that memory, that event, that emotion, those thoughts have been stored in the back of my brain like a program. And until I actively choose to dissolve that program or replace it, it's going to be there. It's going to be there. Now, I'm almost replaced it because I have found some dentists that I'm very comfortable with, but I still don't like the process at all. They still kind of go back a little bit nervous and scared. So you can see how this plays out, and maybe you can think of, an event in your own life that maybe you have an emotion engaged. And I went all the way back to 4 years old. Something could have happened to you last week, and it's getting stored. So what happens with the vibration? Well, the vibration is basically all feelings have a vibration, an energetic vibration to them. And this is the part of the work that I've been doing in my energy healing. And so let me find fear, scared, fear vibrates at a megahertz of 100. It's pretty low. It's a pretty low vibration to operate under. What I tried to do the first time I started going back to the dentist was 200 courage. At least try to be courageous about this. And ultimately, if you can get to neutrality and willingness, which is the middle of the scale, then acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, enlightenment, all those high level emotions. So the thing about this is we start to leak our power when we go below 200, potentially. So if I get angry and I drop my vibration, I'm leaking power. Why? Because I'm giving that situation, that person, power over me to feel angry, or that situation, or fear, or apathy. Guilt and shame are like the lowest vibrations that you can feel. So with that, ways to keep our power and not let it leak is to raise our vibration. And we do that by actually shifting our feelings first, and then align our thoughts to the feeling. Because we actually change more from a feeling first, mind second. So if you can imagine, maybe you've had a situation recently where you got angry at something. I can think of something last week. And when I realized that I was allowing that situation to bring up this anger, I was like, don't let it do that. I'm like talking to myself. I said, don't let it do that, Stephanie. Just get to neutral. It's a situation. I think it involved a lot of bureaucracy. I was frustrated, all those things. I'm like, just don't let it dip your vibration. Stay neutral, stay in willingness to hang in the process and get it done. So I don't leak my power, because that's what we're trying to avoid, is our power slowly moving away because we're giving it to a situation, a person, an event. Also, if it's completely out of our control and we're giving it time and attention, we are definitely leaking our power, leaking it out. Something you can't control, but you can't stop thinking about it. You can't stop doing something about it or wanting to do something about it, but you can't control it. So remember our definition of power: ability to act, your will. It's not in your control. So you can't be powerful in that situation, but we leak our power when we give it time and attention. So questions, feel free to ask questions in the chart, because I think that this is where we seep our power. So if there's anything you want to ask right now, type it in the chat about vibration, emotional frequency, how we leak power. So I think one of my biggest leaks is feeling guilty. It is the most useless emotion in the world. It changes nothing. It leaks my power. And so I am really getting after the guilt thing in my life. Oh, what is the last thing, Annie? We leak our power when we allow situations, people, events outside of our control to keep replaying it in our mind, keep giving it energy, basically, when we have no control. So we can't have power in that situation because we don't have the ability to act, and we don't have the ability to activate it what we want to have happen, our free will. So we're leaking the power when we're giving power to that situation. And what I mean by power is I'm allowing my mind share to get occupied by that situation I can't control, my emotions potentially. That's the clarification. Sure, happy to clarify. Where is anxiety? Oh my gosh, Donna, great question. Anxiety is a form of fear because it's an anticipation. So anxiety is either you've had something in the past that made you anxious, or the result was you felt anxiety, and now you're projecting it into the future. That made me anxious in the past, so now it's going to make me anxious in the future. So I would say it's definitely under 200. I haven't seen a scale with anxiety on it, but I think my guess would be it's somewhere between 100 and 150. It's still low. It's you're giving your power away to the anxiety. So when I think of it is when someone, and I was a worrier, I still am a worrier, but I was really a worrier about things. When you're worried, you're in the future. You're worried of what's going to happen tomorrow. You're worried about whether everybody will get there safely to the event. I'm worried. I'm in the future. Anxiety is a bit of both. Anxiety is I'm reaching back into a past program that made me anxious. And then I'm saying, and that if that were to happen again in the future, I'm going to be anxious. But here's the thing. We only have power in the present moment. We only have power in the present moment. So I can't change the past. I cannot affect the future. So both of those are leaking power. So when I find myself fixated on something from the past, I'm leaking my power. When I'm overly focused on the future and doing a bunch of what ifs that may never happen, I'm leaking my power to the future. The only place we have power is in the present moment. And that's why all this talk about mindfulness is so important, because mindfulness is about being present and living in the moment. So one of the ways to take your power back, and we're going to transition to that, is live in the present moment. Get yourself back to the here and now, because it's the only place we have power and can be empowered. And I'm still working on it. I don't worry as much into the future as I used to, but I still catch myself. And that's the key, is just notice when you've left the present moment. Just notice and see if you can gently, kindly, compassionately bring yourself back versus yelling at yourself for, you're doing that again. You know, that voice in our head that yells at us. Okay. So let's talk about getting that power back. And I just had some fun with it. Power leaks, power surge. How do we surge the power back to us? How do we take it back? So this is a power hour. So I'm going to offer 3 things. I'm sure there's more, but these are the 3 that immediately come to mind. So the first one is build awareness. So what I was just saying, notice when you've left the present moment. Build that awareness. Notice when you've dipped to some of those low vibrational emotions like fear or anger or guilt. Just start to notice, because awareness is the first step to then create alignment with how you want to be personally powerful. So, for example, the situation last week where I felt very angry, I was allowing that situation to overtake my mood for the day, how I was interacting with others. And I went, hold on, Stephanie, this is not how you want to live your day. I was out of alignment with what I said was important to me. And so when you notice and go, wait a minute, this is not in alignment with what I say is how I want to live my life or what is important to me. So I'm going to get back into alignment. And then the last is to live authentically. So back to that definition of power, acting on your own free will. Do you know what your own free will is? And I will tell you, when I left corporate life about 2 years ago, maybe 2.5, coming on 2.5, I had to find myself a little bit. I had fallen out of authenticity with myself. A little bit of an identity issue for me, where I had been working so much towards others' expectations, workplace, relationships. I didn't know what I wanted anymore. I couldn't even define it. And so I went through quite a process to learn what makes me tick, what brings me joy, what do I believe, what do I value, truly me. And then how do I create alignment to that? And I learned, looking back on that, many times I gave my power away because I wasn't being authentic. I was being what I thought other people wanted me to be. Be the good daughter, be the good wife, be the productive employee, etc., etc., etc. What I thought was expected, but was it truly aligned to me? Sometimes yes, and sometimes absolutely not. And that, in a way, is when you're not being authentic to yourself more of the time, you're leaking personal power, because only you have your collection of superpowers and your experience. So why not be that person versus trying to be like somebody else? Again, I'm 55. It took me 53 years to figure this out. Some of you are younger. You're going to get to it sooner than I did. But I wish that I had some of these insights earlier in life, where I didn't allow and I'm a people pleaser on top of it. So, I'm going to please, 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 and like lose sight of what I want or what I think is important. So, awareness, getting into alignment, and then to the extent living in the present moment, what's authentic to you, to the extent, and just know that you always have a choice to regroup and go, oh, awareness, that's not aligned. I'm going to do some self-correction. So what does reason mean? Val, where are you seeing reason? Or did I say reason? Sorry.
No, it was in the list of the frequencies.
Let me go back to it so I can see where it is. Yes. Okay. I know what you mean. 400. Once we move from acceptance, we have the ability to be, I'm going to give it the noun, reasonable about our expectations and our ability to reason and combine. ourselves is with us. We have the ability to kind of what I think of as align the mind and the heart. We can kind of bring the brain, but we've accepted in the heart. And so that's where reasoning comes into play in that regard. And you have to get through acceptance first to be able to reason. If I haven't accepted, I'm still negotiating. Maybe I'm in denial. Maybe I'm in some of those other unpredictable emotions.
Right on. Okay.
Thank you. I love it. The little one. Okay, so all right, so we're kind of coming around the circle. Let me just check my time. Oh, we're good on time. Excellent. So we talked about we have these superpowers, and then we talked about how we potentially leak our power in our interactions. And then we talked about ways that we could grab our power back through awareness and alignment and living authentically. So now we're going to take it into the day to day, because if we want to make big changes in our lives, we have to make small changes every day. And those small changes then add up to big changes over time. So this gets to daily practices that you can try to do or build into your day to build awareness, get into alignment, and live authentically. And again, with this only being a power hour, I've picked like the top 5 that I do regularly and I think have helped me, but I welcome additions to this list. You may have some things that you are already doing. But before I transition to that, any other questions about how we grab the power back, or any situations that you'd like to reason through? You okay? Everybody all right? Okay. I'm going a little fast. Okay. So how do we power up our authenticity? And these are the ones that I've really focused on, especially in the last 2.5 years when I went on this journey to truly re-identify with myself, reconnect to my authenticity. And I mentioned it already before, is be present, live in the present moment. It is where our power is, and it's where you can be more true to yourself. And so the awareness is, when have I left the present moment and where did I go? Did I go to the past and what do I need to do? Come back? Did I go to the future and I need to come back? Now, I will say something about the past is I cannot change the events in my past. I cannot change that I, whatever, grew up in an alcoholic home and had financial insecurity growing up and have a divorce in my background and. But I can change in the present moment what those events mean to me now. So when I was in my 20s and my 30s, I still very much identified as being an adult child of an alcoholic and the tendencies that happen with that. I know that is no longer a central part of my story. It was then, but it's not now. And I've taken the learnings from that experience. But if you think about your life is a bunch of book chapters, that chapter has become very small, whereas it used to be a big, meaty chapter in my life. And now what it means to me now is smaller. And I don't self-identify strongly with that anymore, or at least it doesn't define me anymore. So what you can do about the past is shift what it means to you now and how you feel about it now. You can literally rewrite your story. Again, can't change the events, but I can rewrite how I feel about it now and what it means to me now. And that, in a way, is a way to take some power back from your past. But you can only do it in the present moment, if that makes sense. And that is some of the work that I have been doing in coaching, is helping people rewrite their story, so that things that happened, we can take the learning from it, we, and we can shift how we identify with those items from our past, so it can be more empowering versus potentially holding us back. So, something to consider. But you have to be self-aware that that part of your past is still driving your today. And do you still want it to drive who you are today? So, just food for thought. The thing I would say is, like, I remember when I was newly divorced, and I divorced in 2015. When I would introduce myself to someone, like, divorce would come up pretty quickly in the conversation. Now it's like it comes much later. And that, to me, is an example of how much I'm identifying with it now versus how I identified it when it was happening or soon after it happening. And now, with some time and space and distance and many other things that happened in my life, um, and I can actually see that both of us and our kids are thriving in this configuration, and we weren't when we were a unit. you know it's kind of all come full circle in a good, positive way. And so I don't identify as a divorced person as much anymore. Yes, I am, but I don't it doesn't pop up to the top of my list, as an example. So the next piece is number 3, is about being self-accepting and loving of yourself, which is another journey that I've been on. I have a perspective, a point of view, that no one is broken. No one is broken. We are all whole. However, we have sometimes disassociated parts of ourselves, ignored parts of ourselves that we really don't want to recognize or accept are part of us. And how we truly feel whole as whole beings, as a whole person, is when we accept all the parts of ourselves, and we're loving towards and compassionate towards all the parts of ourselves. And so this has now become a daily focus of mine, that when I hear myself criticizing in my head, or getting frustrated at myself about something that is true about me, I try to send love and compassion to that part of myself, because it is a part of me. But I will tell you, I spent years disassociating parts of my background, parts of myself. I didn't want it to be a part of my life now, but you can't do that. You have to take all of you. If you're going to live authentically, you got to bring all of you forward and into the present moment. And so that has been quite a bit of work for me, is to truly accept some parts of myself and pour on some love. Number 4 is your inner guidance. Some people would call it intuition. Some people that have, a more spiritual connection, will get guidance they'll hear their heart speak, in their mind, or their intuition down in their belly. Your inner guidance knows you the best. And I can look back on times I did not follow my intuition, and bad things happened. And times when I did follow my intuition and good things happened. So I know personally how what can happen when you don't follow your inner guidance. as much as you can. And you can develop the ability to really hear your intuition and really follow your intuition. But it's really the best way for you to make decisions that are authentic. So let's use an example. Can you think of a decision that you made where you said yes to something and then almost immediately wish you had said no? Can you think of it? Anything like that where you went, sure, I'll help with the bake sale, or sure, I'll watch your cat for you, you know? And immediately you're like, why did I say yes to that? Right? So, why did we say yes? Why did we say yes? When our inner guidance was like, you want to do that? Usually it's out of obligation or a sense of responsibility, or this is what I'm supposed to do as whatever, insert the role. But that's not our inner guidance. Our inner guidance is saying, that's not going to be the right thing for you. Say no to that. So, again, that's another thing to be aware of. How often do I make decisions that are not aligned with my inner guidance? And if I am, why? And understand why. We all need to be responsible. We all need to do some things that we don't necessarily like, but just be clear as to why you're making a decision that's not aligned. Again, because that'll keep you aware enough to know, when am I potentially leaking my power again? Where that person's need, I just made that person's need more important than my own need, potentially. Why do I do that? So, another way. And then I would just say the last is make a commitment, really desire to live authentically. And say, I'm going to take the steps. I'm going to take the steps on this journey to keep my personal power and live authentically in this world and be as powerful as I can be in this world. And I think sometimes just deciding, like making a commitment, either verbally in your head or writing it down in a journal, this is important and I'm going to start to do this, allows that daily practice to flow. So those are like my top 5 ways to kind of keep your power, small things every day, small steps to get into authenticity. So I will pause and just see if anyone has questions there or anything you would like to share that helps you stay in your personal power and you stay authentic to you. Anything you want to add? We're all good.
Well, I think I'll say a little something. It's Valerie here. So I apologize. My kids are we're running into the camera here, so sorry if that was distracting. One. So
I love it. I wave. But
yeah,
thank you.
just being big and big. So two things struck. Well, one thing struck me, more of a comment than a question, and then something I'm just kind of thinking about is what I found really interesting when you were specifically talking about that number 3, the be self-accepting and loving. What I found so interesting was the fact that you can shift what certain events that have happened in the past mean to you, and they don't define you quite the same, or they're not essential to your identity. Yet at the same time, it can coexist with being self-accepting and loving. Like I've never quite seen it like that, so I thought that was really just fascinating and so graceful.
Yeah. I mean, thank you, because I think it took me a bit to get there.
Mhm.
And say both can be true.
Yeah.
I could have done some really dumb things, my word, in my past that had ramifications, but I have to accept that part of myself. And love on myself, even though it was kind of not a good decision at the time and it didn't play out very well, but I did make it. It is a part of me. And, I'm just going to be compassionate with that part of myself,
Mm-hmm.
you
And
know?
and just that, there's that old programming coming up again. Yep, I
Yeah.
gotta that next dentist appointment, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The follow-up question I had is on that fourth one, which is, and you know me a bit, is how do you do a better job of listening to that inner guidance? I do try to slow down to listen to my gut, but I, what other techniques do you have
Yeah.
to really listen to your intuition?
So, right now, what works really well for me is if I put my hand on my heart, does it feel heavy or light?
Mm,
And if it's lighter, it's a yes, it's aligned. It's the right thing for me. If it feels heavy, that's usually obligation, responsibility. I still might
mm,
make that decision, but it's not really aligned with me. So right now, the energetic piece is what's tipping me off a bit more. Um, I think sometimes it is pausing to ask my inner guidance what to do, and just say, what, or I might say, what is best for everyone involved? Like it doesn't have to be selfish just about me. What does Stephanie want and need? Let's say I'm trying to figure something out and it involves myself and the kids. And I might say, well, what's the highest good here? Like what is the choice that really does the most for all? And see what comes up in the intuition there as well. But I do think it's just recognizing if you're in your heart space, you're connected to the intuition. It's one and the same. So what I do is if I'm so much in my mind, I'll say, pause mind, what does the heart have to say?
mm,
Just pause, like a pause button on a tape recorder. What does the heart have to say about all of this? And pause and breathe and see if something will come through.
mm,
But we all get caught up in our mind, Valerie. We all do,
mhm,
and I sometimes have had to say, mind, get in the back seat. You're not driving right now. Get in the back seat. You're a passenger. Heart's heart's got the wheel. What does the heart think? Or the gut? I consider them, similar. But the heart is where I tend to sense my intuition, but it's also in the gut as well. And I find that, practice it. Like you can do, like, take a day where you have a little bit of freedom and like following your intuition all day would not have horrible consequences. And just do whatever your intuition says. Like, literally, am I having a cup of tea or a coffee? Intuition says tea, do it. Like, just follow your intuition for half a day because that tunes you into following it. Do I do 5 errands or do I go in the backyard on the hammock? What is the intuition saying? Intuition says do 2 errands and then go to the hammock and just practice. But yeah, it's but I think it's more tapping into yourself throughout the day. And one of the exercises I did early on in my coaching certifications was they would have you set an alarm on your phone every 2 hours. And every 2 hours you're checking in with yourself. And it could be, okay, I'm going to get in the heart space for 5 minutes. I've been in my head for 4 hours. I'm now going to the heart space. And just kind of rebalancing the day a little bit. So cool. Thank you for the question and the comments. I appreciate it. All right. So 5 minutes to talk about this offer. And I'm good on time. Okay. So I'm excited I have 2 programs to offer now, and so I just wanted to let you know that these programs are available. They are focused on there's 2 levels to them, and they are all about powering up your authenticity so that you can unlock the powers within you and kind of we build awareness and we get aligned and we do practices that will help you live authentically. The 2 courses are online. They can be self-directed, but I actually will have kind of back and forth interplay opportunities. And then I am also offering coaching to go along with the program if it's something that you're interested in. So good to see you all. And I'll say bye for now.